The San Francisco Bay Area is up there for regions that baffle me the most whenever I visit. You've got San Jose with all its futuristic tech companies and a BART extension that we swear is coming. You've got San Francisco with its iconic layout and status as the #2 city in California. And then across the road you have Oakland and Emeryville, which past the main city centers straight up look like a third world country. Regardless, there is a handy rail service taking you from San Jose to San Francisco and is by far the most advanced in the state, donning a nice mix of white and red with absolutely no more than one bathroom per set. I'm of course referring to Caltrain. Howdy and hello everyone, and welcome to 5008 Explains, a show where I, a person not named 5008, explains things in the rail industry briefly enough for you to almost not get ambushed by the In today's episode, I'll be going over by far California's best rail service, Caltrain. Our story starts on October 18th of 1861, when passenger rail service officially began along the Peninsula Corridor, a corridor running between San Jose and San Francisco along, surprise surprise, a peninsula. This initial service was operated under the San Francisco and San Jose Railroad, or the SF and SJ as I'll be calling it. The initial line was similar to the modern day line, however it was mostly single-tracked and took a different routing near San Francisco, going inland rather than via the shoreline. This initial route was purchased by who else but the Southern Pacific in 1870, growing their reach across America. One of the first things SP did was double-track the line and build what is known as the Bayshore Cutoff, the line the modern-day route follows. In terms of the southern portion of the line, this portion was completed to Gilroy in 1871, completing the route we know today as Caltrain. The actual passenger rail predecessor to Caltrain was the Peninsula Commute, a train not only running between San Jose and San Francisco, but also all around the general peninsula area, including heading as far as Monterey. Unlike in previous episodes where services and competitions came and went, the Peninsula Commute was pretty consistent since beginning of the 1860s, even despite the massive decline in passenger rail during the mid-20th century. The ridership on the Peninsula Commute, while yes it saw a drop, didn't ever drop below 4 million riders, which is more than most modern-day commuter rails. The service saw a peak of over 9 million riders in 1954 and saw a low of 4.4 million riders in 1977. Despite this, SP still wanted to drop the train, as it was operating at a deficit, one not at all helping the fact that the rest of the passenger rail services were mostly all struggling to even find passengers in the first place. SP wanted to fix this deficit by raising fares an insane amount. However, the California Public Utilities Commission, or CPUC, refused to let them increase the fares by more than 25%. However, because the CPUC is a top-of-the-line procrastinator, they took so long to decide on this that SP genuinely bought a bunch of 8-passenger coaches for the corridor in anticipation of discontinuing the service. This all came to a climax on May 6th of 1977, where SP filed a petition to the CPUC asking to be allowed to discontinue the service. This was opposed by several transit agencies in the region, and because the CPUC cannot even fathom the idea of handling SP's wishes on time, SP had to file another petition, now to the ICC, because the 120-day period to take action had ended. Thankfully, SP was blocked from dropping the Peninsula Commute and had reached a really odd agreement with the counties it served. In 1977, Assembly Bill 1853 was passed, which essentially allowed the local transit districts in the area to buy the horrifically overpriced tickets SP wanted to sell, and then sell the tickets back to passengers at a reasonable price, subsidizing the service, allowing it to continue on until 1980. This would also allow for Caltrans, California's DOT, to begin negotiating a purchase of the Bayshore Cutoff from SP. Once 1980 came, Caltrans signed a contract with SP allowing them to subsidize the service. To sum all that up, between 1977 and 1980, the Peninsula Commute had transitioned from a privately owned commuter rail to a weird mix of public and private funding and ownership. Throughout the 1980s, Caltrans, alongside local agencies, would begin to put more and more into the service, including new stations, shuttle service to new employers, and, most notably, new rolling stock. This new rolling stock was to replace the old SP-owned equipment and would wear a new name and paint scheme. Fully silver gallery cars led by a silver F40PH locomotive sporting a blue and teal stripe, all topped off with the name Caltrain. Following this new equipment, things would continue as normal until 1980, where the Peninsula Corridor Joint Powers Board, or PCJPB, was created. The PCJPB was a formation of various local agencies to help manage the service and keep it under good close management. The PCJPB would purchase up the rest of the right-of-way between San Francisco and San Jose from SP in 1991, followed by the last major management change for the service. In 1992, the PCJPB agreed to assume all operations and subsidies of Caltrain effective July 1st of 1992, finally freeing SP of the service, leaving it in the hands of the local agencies. This also came alongside the PCJPB acquiring the rights to use the trackage between San Jose and Gilroy, with an option to eventually purchase half of it in the future. Let's wait and see how that's going to turn out. Now that SP was gone, the service needed an operator for its day-to-day operations. The PCJPB eventually landed on Amtrak, who had a thing for assisting new commuter rails at the time. From here, Caltrain operated as is. It received some new branding and colors in 1997 that really did not spice up the F40s or gallery cars at all, but they at least had something on the gallery cars now. From here, Caltrain would begin to look into beginning a full-blown express service for the main corridor, dubbed the Baby Bullet. This service looked to lower travel time significantly for travelers between the most major stops along the route. This would culminate in June of 2004 with brand new rolling stock consisting of new Bombardier bi-level coaches and MPI MP36PH locomotives, which had a far better paint scheme than old bare bones over here. Following this in 2005, Caltrain began to see a recurring budget crisis, which was, concerning. The first of these was in 2005, followed by one in 2010. Both were combated by fare increases and schedule changes. Great, just what I wanted for Christmas. The usual cause of these budget issues is the agencies who fund Caltrain running into budget issues themselves, which piles up onto Caltrain. The situation in 2010 was described as beyond broke, which is absolutely what I'd call it. Going into the 2010s, we have guess who? California High-Speed Rail, who had began planning what was phase 1 of an eventual high-speed rail connection for the whole state. I don't have a joke for this one, just the fact that I have lived basically my entire life in the official development period for this project. Regardless, the plan for this system was for the high-speed rail trains to utilize the Peninsula Corridor from San Jose to San Francisco, which would naturally mean the line would have to be electrified. This electrification would be the main feature in the CalMod project, a whole modernization of the corridor between San Jose and San Francisco. This electrification project would face delays and cost increases because you can't have a US transportation project without them, and the installation of PTC attached to it would also see delays. However, by 2021, everything was finally in full swing with PTC installed and the construction of electrification systems ongoing. This was soon followed by the arrival of the first Stadler KISS EMU, which would be the new face of the service upon the electrification's completion. This electrification would be tested with two ex-Amtrak AEM-7 locomotives shipped from the Northeast Corridor. However, these units didn't actually see much, if any, use. It's rumored that the one painted into Caltrain paint pretty much melted as soon as it was hooked up to the new systems, which is something that yes wasn't intended, but probably should have been expected given that these two were already clapped the hell out upon arrival. Despite all this, Caltrain would finally begin its electrified service on September 21st of 2024, allowing for the decades-old F40s and gallery cars to finally be retired. Well, actually, they weren't fully retired. Rather, all of the initial F40s and all the gallery cars were sent to Argentina, where they are certainly enjoying their retirement, and the leftover Bombardiers, MP36s, and 3 newer F40s would remain to be used on the portion between San Jose and Gilroy, which is pretty much frozen in time from when Caltrain first began service along this segment, since UP refuses to be convenient. But this now leads us to the modern day, where Caltrain is doing well, but its future still looks a bit weary. While yes, the service is by far the most modern, frequent, and convenient in the state, it's currently at risk of service cuts thanks to our old friend financial issues, and the Gilroy segment is still frozen in time with any improvements far off. But hey, at least South County foamers can still enjoy the F40s. Oh, right, I forgot. Oakland got too close to finally being able to assemble some normal looking sets.